So, good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet you on our webinar. My name is Lina Kulikovska. I'm team leader, legal and sales representative of Eltoma Corporate Services, currently located in Cyprus, but my location is Kiev, Ukraine. So, today we will discuss and overview opening and maintaining of a corporate bank account in Singapore. Let's revise our agenda for today. And today we will discuss and overview the main criteria for choosing of a bank, which bank will be most suitable for company structure, for company's business. We will discuss corporate bank account opening, what you need to know for Singapore as a jurisdiction, main requirements for a bank account opening in Singapore, which main maintenance of corporate bank account we'll also discuss, and overview the automatic exchange of information within Singaporean banks, and review and revise the closing of corporate bank accounts in Singapore, voluntary and forced closing. So, moving on. Also, please find the chat box on the left part of your screen. You may write there all your questions, suggestions, inquiries, etc. And I'll personally contact you and answer on all your questions today or tomorrow after this webinar. So let's start, let's begin. And I think that we need to start with criteria for choosing a bank. And on this slide is showing main criteria that you would want to consider for selection of your bank. Amongst main ones are: banks are the main operational tool for each company, and choosing a bank prior to company formation is recommended. For our clients, for their inquiries for the company formation in Singapore, in Cyprus, Hong Kong, or any other jurisdiction, first question which we and personally I ask is where you would like to open bank account. And in this case, it's very important to find and decide which bank will be the best for bank account opening, for further maintenance of business activity of the company. The corporate structure and jurisdiction of your company should be in accordance with the requirements of the bank you plan to work with. And that would assist you to open bank account more quicker, and maintaining of such bank account will be for a long period of time. So this part also should be fulfilled. Also, a number of banks include an analysis of the main features you consider important to help make your decision. Selecting major factors that are important to you would identify suitable options. Summarizing the above, I would like to say that by identifying in advance important criteria for yourself, you would be able to choose appropriate jurisdiction for your international company, as well as set up appropriate corporate structure to simplify bank account opening process and their further maintaining of company's business activity. There are main criteria about choosing a proper bank. such as reliability, international credit ratings, confidentiality, some additional bank services. Some clients, they are looking for merchant accounts, investment services. All depends on business activity of the company. Our clients also put attention into minimum balance requirements, initial deposit requirements, cash withdrawal limits, card transaction limits, and so on. So selecting measure factors would assist to identify most suitable options, and it's very important to notice that every bank has a list of jurisdiction that they are willing not to work with. Plus, there are such jurisdictions as BVI, Seychelles, the classic offshore jurisdiction, tax havens. Yeah, and the list, and each bank has the list of restricted companies, such, for instance, the companies from Iran or from Iraq, Afghanistan, from such countries mentioned by FATCA. Also, some criteria on which should also put attention is for Singaporean banks, for instance, with Ukrainian passport, they're unwilling to open bank account in Singaporean banks. So put attention at it as well. Let's move on. And now I would like to discuss with you the process, the main criteria of bank account opening in Singapore, in Asia region. And first of all, I would like to discuss with you why and explain to you why to choose Singapore for bank account opening. Why their banks are so good, and what are their advantages. And on this slide, you may find the main advantages of Singaporean banks. For a long number of years, Singapore has preferred to be known as strict jurisdiction, with close information about their clients who open bank account in Singapore, and this means strict confidential laws. Also, in Singapore, the central bank operates as part of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS. Singapore Bank also supervise and regulate bank system in Singapore directly. And Singapore ranks fourth as a global finance center after New York, London, and Tokyo. So the stable financial situation, stable political and legal situation also may make some impact on your. So the focus is on sufficient liquidity for the smooth operation of the banking system, and actively supervises and regulates the banking industry. There has been no negatively at all linked to the branch of client data security. I'm sure that you are aware there is not the case in many other jurisdictions, for example, Switzerland, as well as rumors for Latvia. But still, Singapore is one of the stable at most challenging jurisdiction for bank account opening as well. Now I would like to discuss with you the additional advantages of Singaporean banks. In addition to the previous information, it shall be noted that Singapore has become a regional center for Chinese currency. Total bank assets grew to $2 trillion in 2013 from $90 billion in 1998. Singapore has a strategic location. Clients can take advantage of the Asian market. English is the first language, which is very important while choosing the proper bank by our clients, partners. Singapore has highly stable and respected government and inexpensive bank account to operate. Let's go in further. In decades of strict governmental regulations and aim to maintain leadership in international financial sector, I think that we need to put in more attention to Singaporean banking system. And there are more than 200 banks which are registered in Singapore, such as well-known as HSBC Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, DBS, OCBC banks, and so on. Limited licenses are issued for foreign banks. Branches are open for business on Saturday, which are two most suitable for our clients because, for instance, in Cyprus, banks offices are not working on Saturday, and they are working of the half day at Friday mostly. Bank transfers are fast and reasonably priced. Transactions are placed on hold until supported documentation is provided. The last but not the least point is very important because almost all banks, they just put on hold all the transactions, all the operations of the bank until supporting documentation is provided. Summary of advantages of collaborating with Singapore Bank. The high selection of banks, there will be bank options to suit clients' individual needs, and inexpensive and fast bank transfers, and strict confidentiality law, as was discussed before. So, however, during bank account opening in Singapore, there will be some challenges for bank account opening, and they are that the client must travel to Singapore to meet with bank. This is one of the most strict and serious requirement of the banks in Singapore. Singaporean banks are not in any urgent need for new client accounts due to the increase in popularity of transferring funds from European accounts. Share capital of the company should be not less than 5,000 of Singaporean dollars. But we also recommend to our clients to incorporate companies with a share capital of in the amount of 10,000 of Singaporean dollars. And sometimes some banks may require that in business models, the beneficial owner should be in the company structures. That means that the beneficial owner, who is a signature and holder of bank account of the company, should be also presented as a shareholder or second director of the company. Business models of the company must be transparent, and first impressions are very important during bank meetings. There should be direct business links with Asia, and business should be operated in Asia. Some subcontractors, customers, clients, suppliers should be located in Asia. Plus, client have to prove those connections with Asia by providing some reference letters, providing some agreements for further action on the in Asia region. So discussing the challenging for some clients, it's very important to know that banks have strict requirements for the minimum number of transactions. You have to correlate with the initially stated expectation as per the bank application. There should be mentioned the amount, the turnover, um, the amount, the turnover of such transactions, how many of them, and high turnover expectations. Also, a highly detailed expectation of business description should be provided. Client should speak in English. While personal visits is very important and one of the main requirements to speak in English, because bank should know that and bank authority should know that they will have possibility to contact with the client and they will have a connection. Also, response to bank's query is expected within 24 hours. So on these slides, I would like to tell you more about our banks, major banks we collaborate with in Singapore. As a licensed service provider in Singapore, we provide not only services for company information and maintenance, but we also provide services for bank account opening. And we assist all our clients for arranging meetings, for collaboration with the bank, introducing of the client to the bank manager, and so on. There are major, on this slide you may find major banks we collaborate with, and we collaborate with local and international banks. Local banks such as OCBC, DBS, UOB banks, and international banks like HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, ANZ Bank, Julius Baer, and so on. If to speak briefly about each of these banks may say that OCBC, each bank has their main requirements for each client, and all depends on business activity, business model of the company, depends on the beneficial owner's residency. They have their own requirements, some restrictions, and which should be fulfilled. So if to speak about OCBC Bank, as I mentioned before, they have some restrictions for citizens from Ukraine. For those beneficial owners who has Ukrainian passport, for some beneficial owners who has Russian passport, they also have some restrictions. They are willing to to proceed with QIC more properly, and they ask more questions. Each bank, they need to understand the whole structure of the company, need to understand the business activity of the company, and to understand how client would like to get money, to the transactions, how everything will be in future. So Singaporean banks, as a lot of banks in Europe, in Hong Kong, in other jurisdictions, they just become more strictly and ask more questions. So when you are going to open bank account, and when you are starting the process of bank account opening for Singaporean or some other company from different other jurisdiction, you should be ready that a bank will ask more questions than it was, for instance, a year ago. Singaporean banks, they open bank account not only for companies from Singapore, but still they have the list, as was mentioned before, they have also the list of banks, of the list of jurisdictions, they are working with, and the list of jurisdictions, companies, they are willing not to have any cooperational relations in future. There are a lot of risks and account opening or for non-bank account opening we will discuss further. But now I would like to discuss with you the main requirements of Singaporean banks for bank account opening. Please note that we are talking today about corporate bank account opening, not about personal. Personal bank account opening is a different procedure and different in Cyprus, different procedure in Singapore, and all depends on the purposes and aims for open such bank account. So, if to speak about the main requirements for bank account opening, we should mention the face-to-face meeting with the bank in Singapore. It's a strict obligation to visit bank. And when some of our clients are asking for remote bank account opening in Singapore, unfortunately, it's impossible. So clients have to visit Singapore and us and our office as well. Company website and website of business partners should be provided. It's very important to have a business site, website of the company. Bank wants to see how and understand how the company is going to get a client for its business activity. In our modern internet and digital world, not to have a website, it's even impossible if you are going to if you're going to deal with international business. Also, banks want to see the websites of business partners, and please note that all those websites are checked by the bank for sure. And all the information on such website should not contain some forbidden information. For instance, all those websites, they're just should be approved by the compliance. That's why there on the website there won't be any information, illegal information, some information which don't respect some business activity and so on. All Singaporean banks have their strong due diligence policy. The initial deposit requirements range from 1,000 to 75,000 Singaporean dollars, and it's discussed on case-by-case basis. Account opening costs range from 0 to 3,000 Singaporean dollars. Minimum monthly balance requirements range from 8,000 to 50,000. Where account falls below, there will be a monthly charge imposed. All requirements should be fulfilled, or in other case, the bank account will be closed. Client shall be able to explain all time source of incoming funds and supports these by documents as well. Also, it should be mentioned that bank account application process is not fast or easy, and you need to be patient with this matter. World regulations change, and compliance review only expands we require at least 2 weeks prior your bank appointment. So so last my cases when I get it was that our clients decided that they are willing and they can visit our office and they can visit bank anytime, but unfortunately we need some time, approximately 2 weeks, for arrange meeting with the bank. So all the time we're asking our clients wait for the arrangement of the meeting, wait for the arrangement of time and date of such meeting, and only then go to Singapore, visit Singapore. Let's go on further. And on this slide we also will discuss the main requirements of the bank. We'll continue with this, and the minimum average amount. Fees range from 25 Singaporean dollars to 120 Singaporean dollars monthly. Initial deposit required in each currency account which is open, and it also depends on the bank, on case by case. It's important to initial funds to come from declared source, and also the proof of wealth should be provided to the bank. Banks require from 3 weeks to 6 months for opening accounts for international clients. It takes 30 minutes for Singaporeans to open a bank account, for instance, but depends on complexity of the case. The process can be at least for a long time. Moving on. If to speak about changing, removal, or addition of signatory, it should be mentioned that forms for such changes are to be completed when the current director and signatories are required to sign. It normally takes 5 to 10 working days if you want to make some amendments here for maintenance of bank account to take effect. Activation of bank card security token usually takes longer, as it requires an acknowledgement from signing and returning to a bank. If previous signatory is removed, a change in company contact details is also required. So if you have any changes, if you proceed with any changes with the open bank account, you need to inform the bank and to make sufficient changes there. Now let's discuss the main important question, I think, because we need to understand the rights of nominee director over bank accounts. As a Singapore has a main requirement for company formation is that there should be a local director. In this case, director also will have some rights. A director has some obligations, even administrative, criminal obligations, but also director, even nominee director, has some rights. There are two different elements in the management of a bank account in Singapore. The right to manage a bank account and the rights to manage funds of such bank account. We'll discuss shortly further all these two elements. Proper combination of the above mentioned elements mitigate the risk of using a nominee director by limiting access to funds of a bank account opening and limiting the power of a nominee director to change a signatory. That means that the director has the right to manage a bank account, but right to manage funds of such account has only the beneficial owner, the signature, with the bank. So let's discuss two main elements, and we will understand which they contains. And rights to manage a bank account means closing of an account, removal of existing and adding new signatory, change of company contact details, name, email, and phone number, and mailing address, request to disclose information to auditors, etc. Director has a right to sign documents, and it's required by the bank to see director as well, even it's nominee. But we understand that there are no explanation of the term as nominee director, and director have some obligations and rights. That's why banks required of director to visit the bank as well personally, and there are some forms which should be signed by nominee director as well. You have to speak about rights to manage funds of an account. That means that over-the-counter transactions, signing of checks, internet transfer of funds, and so on. It's those main. It contains for maintenance of bank account, but by the beneficial owner who has token, activated token, and who can proceed with the transfer of money from bank account of the company to other bank account. If we are talking about the process of bank account company opening, in this case, to discuss also and overview the QYC procedures. And bank's QYC procedure has several levels. Banks using their own database. They use a national country database and also World Check and international databases, including information exchange with relevant international authorities. So all the banks in Singapore have access to World Check to cross-check applicants to establish any criminal background, to identify the politically exposed persons, etc. All international clients are considered high-risk clients for the bank, even when they are even when the client have a meeting with the bank. He obviously will be considered as a high-risk client. For instance, in Cyprus, if when the client had a personal visit with the bank to the bank office, in this case, client will be identified as a high-risk client only in the case when company have some activity which can be identified as a high-risk activity. Other cases, a client can be identified as a normal or low-risk client. Banks can also make an inquiry to a company registry for verify existence of a legal entity to a relevant authority in a client's country of residence. Banks are also researching information about companies' directors, shareholders online. Please find that we are living in a very open internet network, allowing to obtain massive amount of information, and the banks don't forget to use this tool as well. And such popular social networks as LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and so on are being cross-checked to verify your information provided in your CV, business profile, etc. So be careful and be warned that banks also check your LinkedIn pages, Facebook, and so on. Banks are even checking correlation of indicated work experience with your business profile. If there are any doubts, bank refuse to open the account. So while preparation of all the applications to the bank summary and so on, it's very important to revise all the information which you are going to provide to the bank. In this case, Eltoma Corporate Services, we can assist introduction to the bank with preparation of all the documents, of all the information. We also have a big experience in bank account opening in Singapore, and in this case, we have experience in how to produce, how to provide information, in which way. So next we will discuss the process for bank account opening, how we are working, how Eltoma Corporate Services is working with bank account opening. First of all, we are preparing bank questionnaire. Bank account questionnaire. That means that we need to collect the all necessary information about business activity, about company, establish the client's banking requirements, obtaining the company's business model as described in terms of customer segment, value proposition, channels, customer relationships, revenue streams, key sources, activities, and so on. By completing our process, we will best prepare our clients for the bank account appointment. We need to revise all the information about the company for whom we open bank accounts, and we must identify what are the client's actual bank account needs, what bank account facilities are required, what is the company's business model, how does the company make revenue, what are the further business objectives to be achieved. We need to understand if company and the client has more bank accounts, why he or she would like to open one more bank account in Singapore. We ask a lot of questions to our clients, so we just require and ask for being patient with our questions, because it's better for even to proceed with our internal due diligence compliance, which make the process of bank account opening directly in the bank with proceedings of QIC check more smoothest. After preparation of first application to the bank, introductory to the bank about the client of his business, we continue with organizing bank appointments. We have an initial contact with the most appropriate banks to establish a date, time for the appointment. It's usually recommended to meet with a minimum of 2 or 3 banks to assist in order to achieve a successful outcome. At this time, the banks involved with the supplier with all relevant material regarding the relevant company. The client has traveled sometimes for a far distance and at a cost both financially and time-wise, and our only objective is to achieve a success outcome from the bank account application. Hence, it's wise to visit more than one bank. In the case if client will be opened with several bank accounts, it's okay, it's the best achievement for us, for our company, but we are working only on a prepayment basis. So before arranging of any bank meeting with the bank, we need to receive payment for our services. And then even if we open bank account in a couple of banks, in 2 or 3 banks, for us it's okay, and we won't apply to the bank apply to the client with additional payments. If to speak about application summary documents, in this case, using our experience, we prepare and present to the bank such document, such application introductory document to the bank prior to the bank appointment. There it's some kind of detailed summary of the proposed application. We submit information, detailed description of the company's business model, expected banking activities, number of monthly transactions, monthly turnover, annual turnover, where funds come from, where funds are transferred to. We also prepare the business profile, CV of the beneficial owner of the company. Also, we just describe, we try to anticipate the possible questions, and that's why I describe more information we have mentioned with website to be revised by the bank, and so on. For example, what are the reasons for applying to open said bank account? The main suppliers of the company will be from Asia, as was mentioned before. Yes, one of the main requirements. By operating a bank account in Singapore, it will support transactional activities with the main suppliers and partners, and also the cooperation with Asia region should be approved. And we also should before applying for a bank account opening, while introducing our client, we need to show this connection with Asia as well. And additional to our client summary, bank summary, we provide to the bank information about the beneficial owner, his business profile, also prepare the information, some documents proving the connection with Asia, and all these package of documents, additional to the set of corporate documents of the company, is provided to the bank directly, to our manager we are working with. Also, it's very important to prepare our client for the meeting with the bank. We meet with the client prior to the bank appointment to prepare them for the type of questions they may be asked, ensure they understand their business model, and we strongly recommend it and advise that a member of our team attends the bank appointments to assist to the client. In this way, the client is assisted in identifying what areas are to be discussed in detail, what areas are not so important. A transaction service can also be organized where required, and we fully assist with appointment with the bank. The bank reserves the right to request any additional documentation and supply any additional information, documentations requested by the banks after appointment with the client. The bank should ensure a decision received for each bank involved. Time scale for follow-up by the bank um, can arrange from 2 to 12 weeks. Any client support as required. That's why, for minimizing the risk of objections, we apply to 2 or 3 banks. It's very important to understand that very often our clients who open bank accounts in Singapore, they should wait for the decision of the bank, for the final decision of the bank in 2 or 3, 4, 5 weeks, for instance. They're very often our clients need to wait for receiving the final decision, because after the meeting, personal meeting with the bank, bank's compliance department started the check of the company, of the business model, of the client, and may ask more information, more questions. That's why it's very important from our side as a corporate service provider to make some follow-ups with the bank and to um, more information to show that the client is willing to open bank account and to cooperate with this exact bank. And now we would like to discuss with you what can delay in account opening. So incomplete business documentation, including details of director and shareholders, lacking proof of business, partners, contracts, reference letters, etc. Expected high turnover, where a bank account and company are located in different jurisdictions. It also may delay with the bank account opening. That's why it's more faster to open bank account for Singaporean company in Singaporean banks than for Hong Kong company. Because Hong Kong companies, they have their own requirements. Banks in Singapore have own requirements for local companies and have their own requirements for international companies. And QYC check of international companies more strict than QYC check of local companies. But anyway, all depends on business activity of the company and should be revised case by case basis. So now I would like to discuss with you the secrecy. And bank secrecy is one of key concerns of clients. I would like to remind you that there is no magic or perfect combination, easy or remote bank account opening plus cheaper service plus 100% guarantee of confidentiality. You need to remember always about combination of key features important for you. Approximately 50 member states of the OECD, representing 80% of the world economy, has agreed to lift up bank secrecy in an event involving tax fraud or evasion. Banks will provide information about an account directly to a national tax authority or request without informing the taxpayer in certain cases. That means that uh, the main principles of automatic exchange of information, they will be full in force. So we will describe more about automatic exchange of information further, but even bank secrecy, this slide and the information on this slide should be noted by each client who would like to open bank account. That Currently, there are no magic, no possibility not to disclose information, special banking information for the authority. And we will discuss with you the Singapore as a part of automatic exchange process, information process, and we will show you how it will work and when. After when bank account is opened, it needs to be understood how to maintain a bank account. The client is responsible for maintaining the bank account, and in this case, the initial deposit must come from the declared source within a week or two from the account open date, but all should be discussed with the bank, and the date should be mentioned while in application form. Also, the proof of wealth, proof of source should be provided as well. The mail address must be valid. The website must be valid as well. Telephone number must be active, and bank specialists, bank officer may contact you anytime. So it's very important to fulfill these main points, because if your telephone number will be inactive or unable, bank authority may even put on hold your business activity, and you sometimes even forced closed bank account. A quick response to all bank inquiries is advised. Account turnover has to be similar to the declared amount during the opening process. We work with the clients after the bank account is opened, and we assist with, for example, establishing the internet banking, how to use internet banking, how to maintain bank account, and so on. We can assist with this as well. But it's very important to understand that maintaining of bank account is a very important part after bank account opening process. Sorry. Yeah. Now I'd like to draw your attention to the main risk factors for the banks. Main risk factors for the banks and why banks may reject application for the company bank account opening. And in these cases, there are some types of activity, additional factors, company structure, but we should just summarize some of them. So as to speak about company structure, why bank may reject. If the company structure from international sanction list, for example, it's a company from Iran, Northern Korea, and so on. Political exposed persons is in the structure of the company. Holder of a U.S. passport in a company structure due to FATCA regulations. We'll also discuss the FATCA regulations. Well, type of activity also may be important and are important for the bank. And unlicensed financial or unregulated companies, they also will get the rejection from the bank. Adult content, online gambling, connection with the military industry or army, etc. It also will do some points for rejection. That's why banks required for websites. They want to see business activity of the company. If we are talking about, for instance, clients tell us about business activity, which will be like an IT services, providing IT services, but and provide us with a website with adult content. In this case, bank won't open bank account at all. Now let's discuss more FATCA regulations. FATCA means the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. It's the USA law, which aims to prevent tax evasion by US citizen or US tax residents through the use of foreign accounts and offshore investments. Such law came into force in 2010, and under this law, the requirements of FATCA, foreign financial institutions, should identify those account holders which are US citizens, legal entities from the United States under the control or some companies under the control, international companies under the control of the US citizens, and foreign financial institutions such like banks in Singapore should report to tax authority of the United States about those individuals, providing information about their assets, income, and turnover during the financial year. So in this case, banks don't want to pay more attention to reports preparations and working with and reporting to the tax authority in USA. That's why very often they just reject application for bank account opening when they found that there is in this company structure or the controlling person, the beneficial owner, is the US citizens. But still, we need to put more attention for FATCA, because for Singaporean banks, it also means something, and there are intergovernmental agreements of two models, Model 1 and Model 2. Singapore has signed the Model 1 intergovernmental agreement in 2014. There were a long process of negotiations, but still in 2014 it came into force. And if to speak briefly about Model 1, it means an agreement between the US and the foreign government, where the foreign financial institution, bank, for instance, in such Model 1 jurisdiction performs account reporting to the jurisdiction's government. It's referred to as reporting Model 1. Model 2 means an agreement between the US and a foreign government, where where bank, for instance, reports directly to the tax authority in accordance with the authority of the United States, in accordance with the requirements of such agreement, foreign financial institution. All banks have introduced additional obligatory questionnaires regarding beneficial owners, company connections with the United States. And also all the banks started implementing new forms to be, it's well known for us nowadays, forms, because it's almost 7 years last when the FATCA came into force. So all the forms should be completed, and all the transactions, all the operations provided by those persons, by the US persons, by the companies under control of the United States citizens, they will be under the highest control, and all the reports should be prepared and submitted to tax authority in the United States. But following FATCA 2010, in 2014, it also started the automatic exchange of information process. It's one of the most crucial and one of the most well-known, mostly speaking, discussed question about automatic exchange of information. So, automatic exchange of information has been developed by such organization as OECD with the European Union and is a global common reporting and due diligence standard, CRS standard. New initiative require financial institutions to report information on accounts held by all non-domiciled individuals and entities, including foundations and trusts, to their tax administration, which will then be securely transmitted to the account holders, countries of residence once annually. The initiative's main objective is to protect the integrity of individual tax systems and try to reduce the number of companies who attempt to reduce their tax burden by using offshore jurisdiction. In those cases, banks are also obliged to report. There is a list of countries which undertaken first exchange, and in 2017 and in 2018. You may find that there are a lot of countries, and for instance, Cyprus started this exchange of information in 2017, and Singapore, Hong Kong, Switzerland, United Arab Emirates, they are started the process of exchange of automatic exchange of information in 2018. I think that now we need to discuss why banks are closing bank accounts and not fulfillment of all their bank requirements for maintenance or maintaining of bank accounts. In this case, bank accounts will be closed. There are some cases when the contact with the signatory is lost, invalid email address, or signatory has failed to respond to a bank request, telephone call. In this case, bank account will be closed as well. Money transfers from to companies on a bank blacklist. It's a forced. We are talking now only about the forced closing. Negative balance on account, inactive account for a long time. All these mentioned points are the main for closing a bank account. But also, each client can use the voluntary closing of account. The set procedure of each bank as per their own regulations. Normally, the procedure involves a copy of the company resolution confirming the closure of said account with the completion of relevant bank forms. The reason must be clear. For instance, whether intentions are linked to choosing another bank supporting the company, or the bank's or the company is to case operations. Client decided by himself why he wants to close the bank account and where to transfer all the money from those bank accounts. Which services Eltoma Corporate Service provides for bank account opening and after bank account opening? So we offer the service of acting as an intermediary for any bank contact. Bank call to the Eltoma Corporate Services Singaporean office, and we just answer all the questions. Our Singapore office send emails or calls to a client regarding a bank phone call inquiry, and we assist with providing with those information to the bank. As a licensed service provider, as a secretary, we receive all the information statements from the bank and then provide it directly to the client. So we are coming to the end of our webinar for today. And for the last thing, I would like to tell you more about our services. The Eltoma Corporate Services provide different services in more than 35 jurisdictions all over the world. We provide and assist with bank account opening not only in Singapore but in Hong Kong, in Cyprus, in Luxembourg, Liechtenstein, and any other jurisdictions as well. We are working with receiving and obtaining some licenses with tax planning and so on. So you may find more information about us on our website, www.eltoma.global.com. You may write all your inquiries on our email, info@eltomaglobal.com, and our offices are located in different countries. We have offices in Russia, St. Petersburg, and Moscow, and Singapore, Cyprus, Ukraine, Hong Kong, United Kingdom, and you may also contact us via all phones numbers mentioned here on this slide or in our website. Also, our company, Eltoma Corporate Services, provides corporate services, provides recruitment and HR services, IT and business software services, training. We have our own training academy where we provide our webinars on which are presented today. And we also have started our new project. It's real estate and property project, and we also invite all our clients, partners for further cooperation. So that's it for today, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day.